Hi everyone, this is Adrian at 18 Echo SF. During the past few videos that I've done, several times I've mentioned my wife's 9mm 1911, and I said that I would do a video on it so I could show everyone, the gun. So here's the video. I'll give you a little story on how she wound up getting this particular pistol. About 2 years ago, my wife expressed an interest in learning to shoot. She had never shot before in her entire life, and even though I have a military background in United States Army Special Forces, I was a commo and weapons guy, and even though I had that background, she just never had an interest in doing it. However, she realized, the necessity of learning to take care of herself, even if I am around. So she came to me one day and she said, I think I'd like to own my own gun, and what should I get? So I said, well, we're going to let you decide that. So I took her over to the range, and we shot a number of different handguns in 9mm. My wife has an extreme form of rheumatoid arthritis. It happens to be called psoriatic arthritis. She's had it since she was 18 years old, and my wife is now just over 60, and though she's in pretty good shape, the arthritis has definitely taken its toll on her joints. And she even has to go to an outpatient clinic every 7 weeks to get an infusion of a drug called Remicade that slows the progression of arthritis down because there are no cures for it. But my wife's a trooper, and she doesn't give in to anything. And she really wanted to learn to shoot. So we went to the range. My particular range happens to be a gun store as well. And we rented a Springfield XD in 9mm, both a 5-inch and a 4-inch, and a Springfield loaded 1911, similar to the gun you see in front of you. So we went out to the range. She fired all three guns, and she actually shot pretty well for not having shot at all. And at this point, my wife happens to be a very, very good shot. And I'm convinced women are very easy to teach, particularly if they do not have a background in handguns. They don't have any faults to really correct. Like most of us as guys do. Luckily, I was trained pretty well with handguns, so I didn't have too many faults to relearn after I went back shooting about 15 years ago, after not having continued shooting after I got out of the service. Anyway, of the three guns that we shot, even though my wife liked them all, the one she fell in love with happened to be a 1911, and I had no influence on her at all. It was going to be strictly her decision to pick the gun that she felt most comfortable with. But she picked that pistol up, and it fit her hand beautifully. She shot it very, very well for the first time she ever went shooting, and needless to say, I was impressed. But she said to me, this is the gun that I really like to own. So we went back out to the counter, and we placed an order for a Springfield loaded 9mm 1911. You may or may not be aware there are not that many 9mm 1911s being made by the manufacturers. So we placed the order for the Springfield, and then a couple of weeks later we found out that it was going to take upwards of 1 year to get that gun. And I really did not want my wife to lose an interest in learning to shoot and protect herself. So we decided to continue looking around for a different pistol. My gun dealer happens to be a Kimber master dealer, and I did find out that Kimber made this particular gun, which is a stainless Target 2 9mm 1911. It happens to be the most expensive of the 1911s that we own. I have two 45 caliber 1911s. But this particular gun, because there aren't that many made, and it is a very high quality pistol, was more expensive by about $250 more expensive than any of my other 1911s. But cost was not the issue here. So, so anyway, we canceled the order for the Springfield. I ordered the Kimber, and within 2 weeks we had it in hand. And then after our 10-day wait period here in California, my wife had her beautiful brand new pistol in hand. So the only, if there's a negative to this particular pistol, it isn't quite a negative. It's just something I would not have chosen. But this particular gun comes with target sights, as you can see. They are adjustable target sights. Now, some people might love target sights. I personally do not. I like combat sights. Whether they're all black, whether they're white dots, whatever. But I just like combat sights in general. I really don't want anything to go out of adjustment. So, but here in California, we have a ridiculous situation where we have what's called a California approved handgun list. And if a handgun is not on that list, you cannot buy it new through a dealer. If the gun is not on the list, you can buy it as a private party transfer if someone brought one in from another state and moved to this state and then sold the gun to a California resident. The gun could then be transferred to the person in California, but outright you cannot just buy the gun. Well, Kimber happens to make this exact same pistol with combat sights. The gun is exactly the same. There's not one thing different except the sights. The gun with the target sights is approved. The one with the combat sights is not approved. Because Kimber, they told me this actually, they're not going to submit any more guns to the state of California for approval because they have to send 3 pistols to the state of California, give them to the state of California, and then they don't get them back. And so because of that, Kimber's just not making new models available here in California. It's really ridiculous. But anyway, but that has nothing to do with how good this gun is. So I just want to show you, this happens to be an all steel gun, 5-inch barrel, has the target sights as I mentioned. It has a skeletonized hammer and a very, very nice beaver tail with an extended thumb safety and a drilled, very nice trigger. As a gift, I think it was for her birthday, she knew about the Crimson Trace grips, and I bought her a set, and this gun has them on it. Let me flip this guy on, and as you can see, it has the laser, and the laser, in case you're not familiar, is activated by the middle finger on your shooting hand when you squeeze that. However, let me just flip this guy back off. However, when we go to the range, my wife normally doesn't use the laser. She practices using the iron sights. And then when we come home and clean the gun and put the gun back in the nightstand, after it's loaded back up, we turn the laser back on. Because, you know, a laser could fail, batteries could go dead, whatever. And you wouldn't want that to happen in the middle of something bad going on. So she knows how to use that front sight and get it on target and come back down onto a target even after 1 or 2 shots. So, but she really wanted to have them initially. She thought it would be, you know, beneficial for her in the quote-unquote heat of battle, you know. So, and they do feel very nice. They don't add any additional width or very little additional width, you know, to the stock grips. So, anyway, by the way, this gun, just so you'll know, so nobody complains, is completely clear, you know, and she shoots, like I said, she shoots this gun beautifully, and it is just a wonderful, you know, handgun. If you have anybody out there has a wife, girlfriend, whatever, who doesn't want to shoot a 45 caliber handgun but loves 1911s, you know, I can definitely recommend the Kimber. It's just a beautiful piece, and it'll last a long time. It's a very, very high quality handgun. So I hope you enjoyed the video. My wife is going to be using this gun at an all-women's handgun course. She's going to go to a school that I have been to and I'm going back to in late September. It's called International Tactical Training Seminars. It's in the Los Angeles area, and it's run and owned by Scott Reitz and his wife, Brett McQueen. Scott is a 30-year LAPD Metro and SWAT unit guy, very, very skilled and a great instructor. His adjunct instructors at the school are all LAPD SWAT guys, so they really know what they're doing, and they're very, very good teachers. I can tell you that after having been through the school. So my wife's going to go to an all-women's class there. However, they only have one of those a year, and the next one will not be until June. My wife was not able to go this year, but next year she is definitely going. She has it on her calendar, and I can't wait for her to go through a class, because even though I have given her, as I said, basic instruction on, proper grip and sight alignment and trigger control and, all the things that you need to know to shoot properly, and even though I have, a background in weapons, I don't want to be the person to teach her. She needs a different perspective from somebody else who actually does that for a living. And even though I might have been a shooter for a living for a while, I wasn't an instructor. Even though I have instructed a number of people, beginners, in the basics of handgun instruction, which for me, I happen to think is one of the absolute most important aspects of the learning process with a gun. Understanding the basics and the safety rules and making sure you never forget any of the safety rules, which I stress all the time with my wife, and we talk about it a lot. So anyway, she loves this gun. I'm getting ready over the next couple of months to begin to teach her to draw from a holster. She needs to be able to do that before she goes to the school, because they require holster use, of course. And I'm going to make sure she knows how to do that properly and keeping herself and everyone around her safe as well. So anyway, I hope you enjoy seeing the gun. I promised it a couple of times. I figured I better take the time to at least show anybody who wanted to see this what kind of a pistol it is. But it's really absolutely beautiful, and I can highly recommend it to anybody who might be looking for this type of handgun. So stay well and safe out there, and I'll see you down the road.